Pikes Peak for a little bit of fun. So I'll miss you for a week, but catch you the week after. Not sure that that peak actually is close to the right height for Pikes Peak, but it's close enough. You get the idea. Anyway, in the news this week, a lot of stuff in the last few days going on with things happening in the world of EVs, electronic vehicles. I know I've talked about this in the past, but it gets to be kind of important in our industry because we do a lot in the manufacture of automobiles, and so seeing the ebbs and flows and what's happening with these trends get to be pretty important for us at the end of the day. So latest, California banning new gas-powered vehicles, essentially accelerating the movement to EVs. And so the ban is going to be on all cars sold in the state of California beyond 2035. So 2035, they're banning the combustion vehicle. They need to switch to EVs. And they're going to do something just behind it then with trucks as well. So kind of a big deal, and certainly does scale things up and move things around quicker. And this is part of, first of all, it's not new news for California. They've done things with emission controls for a long period of time, but kind of just does accelerate this particular issue. But it's also things that you're seeing happening around the world. Same thing in Europe, same thing in Asia, whether it's a green movement, whether it's, separate environmental concerns, whether it's something to do with who's got fossil fuels and where do we get our power from, for whichever and whatever the case, it's being accelerated around the world. And it is definitely having an impact on what's going to be happening in the marketplace. VW, if you take a look at some of the things that they're doing, they moved aggressively into this space. Their new ID4, so Innovative Design 4, ID4 plans to convert millions of SUV users to their electric vehicle, essentially SUV vehicle. And so it's a big move on their part. Also take a look at some new things just happening recently with Geely. Geely being one of the biggest EV manufacturers in China, looking to license their technology to a number of other worldwide automotive companies, which is a big deal, and kind of just expanding it more quickly, letting people get into that space, leveraging Geely's technology, should people want to do that. Also in that space, and recently just discussed, speaking of Geely, the folks at Intel that own Mobileye, which is one of the bigger providers of the sensors. When you start taking a look at key components that go into the system, sensors and devices for the actual monitoring, the chips, etc., for electronic vehicles. They're a big player. They just announced a deal to be a major supplier to Geely. And so you can see these different pieces coming together and see the interaction of U.S. companies in this space as well. Talking about Geely in China, right now, China is really taking up about half of the total capacity consumption now of EV vehicles. So about half of them that are being sold in the world being sold in China. Right now, electronic vehicles make up about 3% of the total landscape in automotive sales. Not that big, but just so you know, those numbers have nearly doubled from 17 to 18 and have gone up another 50% just from 2018 until now. So a big movement in that area. There's, of course, all the normal limitation issues. Is the infrastructure properly in place? Do I get enough distance out of the battery life? What happens if you remove the subsidies? Yep, those issues are out there and they need to be looked at as well in this overall mix. But frankly, you can't neglect to address the momentum change and move. And one of the things I think, again, is important for us here in the U.S. to be thinking about is certainly the issue of, look, if you think this isn't such a big issue and you kind of just hold back and let it happen someplace else, and look at the pace that China is going, China is one of the #1 competitors in this landscape and will continue to be in manufacturing space for some time to come. If you just sit back for the next 10, 15 years kind of saying, I got a lot of runtime left on the combustion engine, I'm not going to worry about it, I'm not going to figure out a new game plan, and they really start getting in this space and take it to the levels that they could take it to without getting in and us being really competitive in that space, what's going to happen is 10, 15 years down the road, they're going to have the majority of the marketplace and the technology. So we got to be in, we got to be taking a look at it for manufacturing technology. Yes, it does change the playing field of what we're going to be working on, but the fact of the matter is there's plenty of opportunities still all around that automotive landscape, even going to autonomous vehicles. Of course, that's going to push more to EVs because an autonomous vehicle, for autonomous vehicles, EVs are a lot easier to control, a lot less mechanical devices and things to worry about when you're dealing with things autonomously. So there's lots of places for us in the autonomous vehicle. A lot of technology can be put in place, a lot of manufacturing still happening when it comes to the vehicle overall. These are just things we need to make sure we keep in our playbook. So it's a little bit what's going on around the world and who's doing what in the EV space. just want to make sure everyone's keeping track of that. So you guys have a great weekend, and we'll catch up to you again the week after next. Have a good one.